What's up, Beach Buds? We're on another episode of Keeping Up with the Buds. Y'all know what that means. Another episode of fun, love, cannabis, and, good vibes with none other than the Buds, So I have some very, very special guests here today on the Revel's very own Lulu Tsui, Jason Starr,
Hello.
and my co-host here, new face, my boy Neko G. All right. I love it. I love the vibes. I love it. Everybody get Beach Bud snaps. You know what I'm talking about? It's vibes over here. And I just want to dive in, and talk about the experiences and the education and the ways paved that's been made by individuals like yourselves in this cannabis market, in this cannabis world, in this cannabis culture, and understanding it. And I would love for the people who follow us, the people who are interested in deep diving into cannabis and just want to also deep dive into maybe they're entrepreneurs themselves and want to get into this kind of world that is new to New York, but not new to the world. Definitely not new to our elders and things, because my people is there rolling up the sticky icky forever. You know what I'm talking about? They'll tell you stories. I'll be like, yo, you did that? And they're like, yeah, ask about me. I'll be like, and you ask about them and it'll be real.
A lighter and a soda can.
For real, bro. But we, definitely had to met this down pat. But this is something that Little Beach Harvest has very much wanted to explore as a tribe, as a tribal entity, getting its feet into the grounds of cannabis and into the market. And I was able to actually be a part of a couple of your guys' events and walk around and see it. And it was a good time. It was I really, really had a good time. A lot of connections made, a lot of networking done, and even just small scale to big scale. And just it's good as a tribal entity to not really have places like that to be welcomed into, be welcomed, and be so loved, and wanted to explore and see how there's synergy behind all that. And I like to think that this is something so special to you guys and makes it the reason why you guys do it, to build that connection with people. And Little Beach Harvest is all about that connection with everybody and making these things possible, because we don't have those opportunities due to stigma, due to laws that were set, due to life, right? Let's just say that. But it shouldn't be this way. But it's good to see that New York is changing its ways, and that you guys are at the forefront, making this thing possible. So if you don't mind just giving us like 2 minutes, 3 minutes of like who you guys are, and then I would love to like deep dive into a little bit of about a little poke at what that means in your life and what it looks like. Cool. Lulu, if you don't mind starting first.
Sure. So I am an immigrant. I came here to the States with my parents, and we ended up in Eugene, Oregon, on the West Coast. And at that time, my parents had never, ever experienced what American culture is like, right? They're from northern China.
Yeah. It's a
so when they got here, they're like, okay, this is what Americans are like. And it just happened like the people that, helped my parents learn English, took care of me, etc. They're all cannabis growers.
Good people.
And we'll call them distributors.
Yeah.
So my parents just knew that, like, they come and do Tai Chi with us on the weekends, or they're really talking about plant medicine, because, my culture is very much based on, Chinese medicine, herbal medicine.
Absolutely.
So I just grew up surrounded by aunties and uncles that the plant was always around me.
Mm-hmm.
And it showed me an example of, having a very sustainable type of environment where people, participated in something. And for me, it was the biggest lesson I think I learned from that. It was like, having, coming from a culture which is like very anti-drugs, and it doesn't matter what type. Doesn't matter if it's mushrooms or cannabis or cocaine.
Right.
Drugs are drugs.
Yeah, they are.
So having my extremely conservative parents be okay with cannabis.
Right.
It was like, okay, your community and how you talk about it and the way that you interact with it can completely change mine.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of my background.
Education.
Education.
Education, guys.
And just good people.
Good
people,
like
you're helping my family succeed as immigrants. Like you're teaching us how to be quote unquote American. Like how do you demonize that?
Can't.
You really can't. So, and I had a very, different experience. So when I was curious about cannabis, my aunt went and got it for me and sat with me.
Yes, sir.
When I was curious
Good looks,
about
auntie.
yeah.
Good
when I
looks.
was
Shouts
curious
out.
about mushrooms, my uncle got it for me and sat with me. So I just had a very different
family
experience.
connections.
That's what uncles are for.
Exactly.
Uncle and auntie had it locked in. They knew what they were doing. They were like, "Yo, you seem one with the earth. Let's talk. Let's talk."
So and yeah, we're gonna. Well, it was also like you're gonna do it anyway. So let me just make sure that you have clean product.
Yes.
Let me make sure that you're in a safe space.
Yes.
And if anything happens, I'm here, as a backup.
Absolutely.
So like that kind of just really supported me and also instilled something very, Sherpa-ish.
Yes.
Like, so I became that person for a lot of people in my life. And then, of course, after when I turned 18, I was like, get me the fuck out of Oregon. There's a whole world to see. So I actually, you take for granted kind of sometimes what you come from. So then I went off into tech. So I'm actually a user experience designer and researcher. Started in tech in 1994.
You're in the game.
OG.
I love it though.
So
that's what's up. You look good for it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Asians and African Americans have this in common where we age a little slower.
Right?
Well, I also think no husband, no children helps with that as well.
Less stress.
Yes. So I'll be 50 next week, and
I love it.
I just.
Yes.
I'm having the best time. I am having the best time.
Yo, living life, feeling good, and
and having purpose. Having purpose. You know what I mean?
Jinx synergy right there.
So and then so I did tech for pretty much 30 years and worked with all the big folks. And then in 2015, some friends from Washington said, "Hey, we're doing something in cannabis. Can you come and help us out with the tech part?" So I went back to Washington, and that's when the track and trace system had actually rolled back all their APIs.
Okay.
So there wasn't anything I could be helpful with. So they said, why don't you just stay here and see if there's anything you want to do? So I lived on the facility for about 2.5 years.
Okay.
On the extraction, processing, manufacturing side and the cultivation side. So
really in it.
And then the funny thing is, in between that, I was doing a contract with Bloomberg. So like completely two different worlds.
Yeah, that is.
So now like the prodigal daughter has returned back into the fold. I met Jacoby in 2016. He was doing a tech platform. So Jacoby's my co-founder. He came from the Colorado market. So what we were seeing at that time is there were meetups about advocacy. There was meetups about investment. But there wasn't a lot of conversations about ground truth, what was happening in existing markets. So we said, fuck it. Like, let's get our people that we really vibed with and then start seeding them into New York, because New York is just a very different game.
It is.
You could have a relationship with someone on the West Coast over Zoom for a decade and never meet.
I have some of those.
You know what I mean? And then in New York, it's like, it's old world. It's like, I say, it's like, if you're coming to...
I don't know.
Yeah.
You would think it would be more free. Like, I feel like when you think of New York, you think of New York City. You have so many different people, different vibes, like
different connections.
But you're also like on top of one another. So you're forced to interact.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even in line, you're going to the launch. Like you have to like connect with people. Versus the West Coast, you're in a car.
Yeah.
So and it's almost like I want to say it's like almost monoculture in a lot of ways. They're very specific personas that are from the West Coast.
Yeah. No,
and I
100%.
lived in California, Washington, Oregon, so I can get away with that.
You can say that. Yeah.
And then on the, in New York, it's like I get curveballs. I'm like, I meet someone, I'm like, you're like, what?
Yeah, I know,
so
man.
there's just such a mix of different types of people. And you're almost like, if you live here, you're trained to listen, you're trained to try to like understand, and you're trained to like connect with people on some level. And usually it's Sometimes it's plant medicine, you know, but
New York's also like a constant fight for space.
That is
So
true.
like
Territorial.
Like sort of I think extrapolated in terms of relationships too, where it's
Exactly.
like, I get out of my house, I gotta fight for space on the sidewalk, I gotta fight for space on the
Yep.
sidewalk.
Everything's a battle.
But you can do it in a polite-ish way, right? Or I'd say respectful. Maybe not polite, but respectful.
Respectful.
Yeah.
Respectful. Because it's important to still have that, I think, humbleness though. That's what's important in everybody, humanity. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's what everyone needs. Just a little dose. But I love that, and I love the fact that you had that support, and you had the fact of people being able to be influencers, but in a positive way.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know what I'm saying, in your life, and that's important because mentorship and people to basically have your back and support is
You feel safe.
the only way, though, also for progression to happen.
100%.
People in the world that we live in right now, where everyone's so secluded because they're all like, I need my own space, and living in apartments. Like I said up before, I was living in the Bronx, and I lived on the 16th floor, where we all knew each other on this floor, just like how I know everyone in here in this town, like how we all do.
Right.
We know everyone in this town because it's a big town, but small town. Same thing with the island itself. It's different in the city because it's just so much more smaller. But you think of the fact of having to want to make a connection with someone, not odd. Like even when you ride the elevator, sometimes it's like you're like, hello. Like for instance, out here, everyone waves at each other. Everyone's like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Like, because everyone knows each other. In the city, I couldn't do that. I wave at someone and they're like, why are you? Who are you? Do I know you? Do I? It
was a different vibe back then, though, because I've been in my neighborhood in Prospect Heights in Brooklyn for about 20 years. It's definitely changed a lot.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. I would say like there's a little bit. There's both of these, because I do think when you get like, if I'm in Bed-Stuy, I'm throwing up the wave. I'm saying what's up to everybody. Good. But like it's
different.
If I hit like Midtown, I'm like, why are you speaking? I don't know you. So I think part of it is also the city is huge. Like you do have like street culture that everybody's colliding and figuring out how to negotiate in that way. But then you do also have this like neighborhood like culture. Yeah.
And so with you, Jason, you're from the city itself. You're from New York.
No,
Where are you from? Tell us about you.
I grew up essentially on the vestiges of an old cotton farm in upstate South Carolina.
Shoot. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm a country boy.
Let's see. My family's from Greenville.
Rock Hill.
I love that.
York County.
See what I'm talking about? Synergy, connection.
Yeah.
But you never even know. Like it really be like that. I love that.
And so, some of what you were saying in terms of just like your origin story, coming from halfway around the world to across the country. And me in my little town in South Carolina, there's very like some similar like some similar like parallel experiences. But I grew up in a very, very conservative place as well.
Absolutely.
In the Bible Belt. I'll be 42 next month, so like,
shouts out.
80s,
oh my
90s,
God,
baby.
y'all all have birthdays out here. Birthday. I'm surrounded right now.
So like, the height of the war on drugs on TV, the egg cracking and the that imagery, that messaging, etc.
Misinformation.
And then all when they say like the devil's lettuce for real, it was like the devil,
meant
like,
that.
the one they was talking about in church on Sunday.
It meant that.
And there was also this like very anti-drug, but also this you talked about how it really didn't matter what it was. They used two words, reefer and that stuff. And it was all, and it was all, you're on that stuff, you're on that stuff. And I had like, I'm adopted.
Okay.
And I'm also a queer person, right? So, and even though I wasn't like out as a kid, I mean, they were like, okay, boy got something. Yeah, like
a little different.
But my differences were really like celebrated in a lot of ways, particularly with my grandparents.
Okay.
Because then I was kind of like, my mom would tell me like that she would have to go around and be like, "Where's my baby?" Because my aunts and uncles would just be passing me around. She said they would come on Sunday morning and be like, "Put that baby in the car," and she wouldn't see me again. Like, you know, and I was also like known to. I was really smart. You know, I was
true.
like excelled at school and like stuff like that. And so it was a lot of pressure to like, you know, kind of
stay.
They put a lot of stuff like on you, like, oh, this gonna be our
You're gonna be the one.
savior. You're gonna be the one, you know.
I am the one.
I just had this like, okay, you know, I can't smoke no, you know.
Yeah.
And I do remember like, you know, like late high school, you know, whatever. First time you go to a house party and like somebody's passing around a joint and then I took it and everybody in the party's like, Jason Starr smoking weed. You know, like,
what's going on?
That kind of thing. But I left. I went to college in Miami. I was like, you know, I'm getting, you know, I'm out of here.
We're out.
Like I gotta see the rest of the, you know, other parts of the world, meet more of myself,
right.
so on and so forth.
Yeah, become who you want to be.
And I went to college at the University of Miami, which is a great experience, but it was really the first time I really been around like rich white people.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like
you know what that
Can't relate.
Hello,
We've always been around.
and like sort of, you know, like peers and stuff like that. And also people like, I mean, we were poor. Like I didn't leave the state really.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So like being around like all these different kinds of people, like, and I remember these guys from Boston, and it was my freshman year, and they were like, "Yo, you want to smoke?" And I was like, "As long as it ain't crack, like, I'm, you know." But no, you know, like, so it's just like that. I sort of got this experience like in, you know, college, just like consuming and using, having no real like context around like history,
just doing it. I'm just doing
stuff.
it.
Yeah. But you know, and I came to New York to go to law school. I graduated, and I went to go work at the New York Civil Liberties Union. And like one of the first things I worked on was that stop and frisk.
Okay.
So I was you know, we were litigating the stop and frisk cases, and we were in this moment around like the impacts of over policing, over criminalization, and what was happening underneath that, like within that, was a real story about cannabis. And the relationship between cannabis and those policing practices. Okay. So like advocates, activists, we opportunists at best, absolutely. Right? So I saw like, we see like, wow, look at this energy that's been created around policing. I mean, like there was a lot of funding. It was like, this is a thing that has like taken hold. We got like lawsuits going. The city council was introducing legislation. De Blasio was basically running on it to, you know, like, and so what we were finding out is that like, you know, 85 to 90% of those stops were for cannabis. And of course, like, as you all know, cannabis was decriminalized in New York State in 1977. However, law enforcement was exploiting an issue in the bill by, you know, hemming our folks up and saying, empty your pockets. They don't know they don't have to. And that joint inside was a $50 violation. Now it's a misdemeanor, right? And so that became a powerful story that we were able to add to or birth out of the policing stuff. And so, you know, folks like Cassandra Frederick and all the leadership at DPA early on really thinking like this is the moment where we can really strategize on a legalization bill. You know, the first bill was introduced in 2013, very strategically using a really powerful white woman who's chair of the finance committee in the Senate, Liz Kruger, and an upstate black legislator, Crystal Peoples-Stokes, right? And so my history is, you know, so I came at that from the advocacy, the decriminalization, the restoration of harms based on our communities and people being over policed, over criminalized, and
done in certain areas too, you know.
In 2016, you know, like, and I actually started working out here on the island. So much respect and thank you for inviting me back to a place that like
welcome back.
Has
always.
my roots you know, here where I learned how to be a powerful advocate. You know, shout out to folks like Fred Brewington, Serena LaGuy, like Sergio Argueta, like Roscoe, all the folks out here that have been holding it down forever. And this weird opportunity arose. You know, these people started calling me and they were like, yo, the governor is looking for you. And I was like, for what?
Hold on.
And there was this fellowship and they were trying to recruit somebody to come into the governor's counsel's office to do civil rights and stuff, and I was like, Andrew Cuomo?
Yeah,
Like,
they want me.
I was like, have they looked at my social media?
Yeah.
Like, I flamed this nigga. Like, constantly. But, you know, sometimes you have to humble yourself and go, you know, what is it happening where, you know, we create energy and movements out here, and then we hand things off to a bureaucrat, and we're none the wiser because they always come back to us and go, I'm sorry. And it's like, well, somebody got to go back there and figure out what's going on, and then bring that knowledge base back out here so we can be more powerful. We can be more, effective. And so I bit the bullet. I tell people I got arrested in the state capitol right outside of my office a year before I went, right outside of my office in the state capitol. So I protest. I put the picture of me up in my office.
Oh, I gotta
so when
see
people walked by my office in the state capitol, they saw me getting arrested outside the year before. Yeah. So I was like, you have to know what type of time. But I did. I learned a lot. I took a step back. I was like, okay, if I'm here, I'm going to make sure I make the most of this time.
Absolutely.
I ain't going to blow up the house just to blow up the house. But I went to state government in January 2017.
Yeah.
Doing civil rights.
Civil rights, yeah.
Immigration. I mean, you know what else happened in January 2017.
Yeah, right? Unfortunately.
Right. But I was in state government during this really wonderful time.
That guy.
Because in 2018, you know, the Democrats took the state Senate, and then everything was lined up for us to actually be responsive to what was happening. So as an opportunist, I was like, let me put my foot on the gas right now. And one of the things that I was able to do is put my foot on the gas on cannabis. So we were able to work from the inside on actually writing that bill, negotiating it, legislating it, leading the statewide listening sessions, bringing stakeholders and folks together. And that's actually how I met Lulu and Jacoby. Personal, somebody was like, yo, they were looking for somebody, and like whatever, and I was looking for the people that were organizing, because as she mentioned, like the advocates
about him, and I was like, I gotta go find this
like the advocates, like we knew how to legalize, but we were looking at each other like, we don't know shit about creating no market. Like, you know, we got, and so as a government person, I was like, my greatest thing is to be a bridge to communities that don't
have it.
I don't hire a lobbyist. You got my number. Call me. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's open up this space and be informed by a broader set of stakeholders. But I was missing the people that Lulu and Jacoby were organizing. People who were in the legacy market, already there, who were like, I'm thinking about
trying to get in
right.
There.
I need y'all to help us make sure this work that we're doing right is good. So they were like, come speak at one of our events. And so in 2019, in April 2019, I went to go speak at a Revelry event. We've just been fucking with each other ever since.
I love it. That's good.
I was like, Jacoby.
You know, and coming with the informative stuff.
And so many people have been affected by cannabis laws against cannabis. Like people been wrongly. My cousin, for instance, she was pulled over. Her and her friends. It had, and this is in the Bronx. This is on Castle Hill. Pulled over for like a clip. Not even that they were smoking. It was just in there. He himself was a fast driver, so he got pulled over for that. But they got put into jail because of a clip that was just like a week or so old. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, hold on. This happened to us.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Right?
This has happened to us.
And I'm not saying anything that, you know, they haven't said themselves very stridently, but like when we were, you know, writing and negotiating this bill, one of the like, you know, we were like, we're going to be intentional. It's 400 pages for a reason, because we were like, we're going to look at every way in which the government and the state has got us real messed up on prohibition, right? It's not just about creating a market, but it's about correcting the harms. And so, you know, one of the key provisions was explicit in law, like law enforcement cannot use the smell of cannabis as reasonable, suspicion, probable cause. The way that the law enforcement reacted, they were like, "How are we going to do our job?" And you know, I was like, "Wow, you're really telling on yourself. Like you're using weed as a shortcut, you know, to
lock people up,
right,
anything of that sort." And that's like, you know, from like how you said, the standpoint of where we experienced that ourselves, other people have experienced that themselves, people in my family, like I said, how important is it for you guys to create these environments that's safe for people to consume and want to be a part of cannabis and not be scared? Like, how do you guys make that work? Like, what's some of the challenges I think was more important because that you guys face and you've conquered and that are still going on today, because it's not gonna, there's always gonna be something next. You
Right,
know what I'm
right.
saying? As like New York is growing with cannabis, it's always something that's gonna prohibit us from moving in a way that we think is positive, and that's, there's always something. Like, I was just on a panel for Cannabis Means Business at the Javits Center, speaking on hospitality and cannabis consumption. And I was speaking with Philip Wolf, shouts out to him, Joe Kayinga from the OCM as well, and David, and I forgot he's from a company, but real swell guy, really good guy.
He don't accept that. He don't accept that shit.
Let's clap it up for that guy. David, gang. Either way, really good guy. He was a panel host guy, but
And you calling him pale is crazy. David, he was pale.
no, panel guy. Look, but basically that was just speaking on how we're able to do this here now, right?
Yeah.
Little Beach Harvest is able to have consumption. I'm working on upstairs doing a consumption lounge and allowing people to sit and relax and be comfortable, basically in their own space, and have a space that they could go to. And as you guys see, we're outside of the dispensary at the moment,
like
in a lounge area where I do events, man. And it's all about that environment and space. And I think you guys have somewhat created that. You guys been doing it for a while now,
9 years,
You
almost 10
created
years
this
now,
safe
yeah.
space, right?
Yeah.
So what were some of the challenges, and what do you see the challenges that you're dealing with now?
Well, same set of challenges for us. Like having a place that will give us the venue to host the event.
That's number one.
I don't think
venue
most
is
people
everything.
know. Like, it usually takes us about a year
Yeah,
to
lock
secure
in.
to lock in because like when we go in to visit a venue, the folks that are like the salespeople for the venue are super excited. But once it gets up to
Up a little
leadership,
to the higher,
leadership has it's a song and dance.
I know, man.
But this
it's
is where
repetitive.
the corporate background helps.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
And this is where I think one of the strengths of our entire team is we're chameleons, right?
Okay, love
we
it.
also have professional backgrounds.
Many different
So I would
hats.
say we're not cannabis professionals, we're professionals that work in cannabis.
In the realm,
right?
in the world.
So it's because a lot of times you come in real hot with cannabis, automatic no.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
But like, I'm here making DAX.
Yeah.
This is who we've worked with. This is what we've done.
Exactly.
And also we hold ourselves accountable.
Absolutely.
Because when we come into a space where, we try to be extremely respectful, we follow the rules.
Yeah.
We also leave the place better.
Yeah.
Than what we've had. And we've run into the same issues. Like, there was a venue that we wanted so bad, and it turned out another group had come in, didn't tell them it was cannabis, blew the entire place up with weed, and it pissed off because they also these venues also have liquor licenses.
Yes.
So if you're coming in with cannabis, the government does not trust anybody to have two vices together at the same time, because God forbid.
Yeah.
So, part of it is, we try to be an extremely respectful group that comes in.
Yeah.
And, we speak,
That
we
B2B
have to
is
talk.
important.
The B2B is
It's
important. You got to talk the talk.
Business to business, guys.
And I think one thing that people don't understand when they talk about diversity, because diversity automatically is like how you look, is your professional
It's the
background,
professional background.
is your
Life
your
experience.
life experience,
Know
like
where you come from.
yeah. And our philosophy is like, hey, if you don't like one of us, then there'll be somebody
There'll be
else.
someone there.
Somebody else
Somebody
will connect
do it.
And I wish people would understand this kind of monoculture way of doing things, especially in business. Like, you leave out a lot of people if they don't like your culture, if they don't like your vibe.
That's true.
So, like I always say, we're kind of like Voltron. Like, each of us is a lion, but then we can come
love it.
together
I
and
love it.
create something even stronger, and more impactful,
That's important.
and have better reach.
You guys have a good core group out. When I was trying to apply to be a part of the you guys' last event, I spoke to a lot of people from your team, and they were like, "Yeah, I got you. Don't worry. We're gonna make sure you're there. You're gonna," and they made sure, and they took care of us.
We're learning too.
Yeah,
You know, and I think, Jacoby comes from, Jacoby and I come from like tech, so it's a very design thinking mindset, which is about problem solving.
Yes,
And it's also
yes.
about not designing something for ourselves, right? We all have opinions, but the greater
It's a
purpose of
broader scope.
this is designing something which
Yeah.
you guys are picking up on.
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
we're doing our job.
Yeah. I mean, we're also like a hospitality company.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
In our
100%.
ethos,
Yeah.
and I also host our shows, and one of the things I always sort of say at the beginning is like, welcome to Revelry. This is our love letter to New York cannabis.
Yeah.
Because it is very intentional. And I like to think about our space as like a clearinghouse, if you will, because
I like that.
we were talking earlier. We think about, we know we attract the canna curious to the canna expert,
Right.
and so, I always tell folks like, New York cannabis is a big space. It could be a complicated space. It could be a space that's hard to know, like, where do I start? Like, where, what's the first like step? And I always tell folks like, look, you are more than welcome here. And we are going to give you some actionable content. We are going to be assured you meet some dope people,
bro.
And it's going to be
All
an
the
incredibly
time.
welcoming environment, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
And wherever you end up going, hopefully, like, you can think back to, your time at Revelry and like, man, I landed there and they helped me take my first step, or they helped me take my next step.
It was nice seeing, like I told you before, the connections that was made there. There was a lot of people willing to be, supportive in a way that within packaging, within being able to like just point me into the right direction of who to speak to.
Yeah.
Within the market, within trying to become legal in the OCM standard, right? Like, because that's my whole situation here. I'm trying to bridge the gap.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, building up entrepreneurship within my tribe, that's 100% important for me as the longevity and the future of my tribe goes, and the youth of the community that I'm doing this for. I know for a fact this is not going to impact me. I'm not, and if it does, it does. I'm not in it for that. I'm in it for my people, and for the people leaving from here, shopping here. It's for them.
Mm-hmm.
I need them to feel safe, and I need them to feel like they have a space that they could come, and whether it be for medicinal use or recreational use, have a space where they feel comfortable in.
That's such a integral part of what's happening right now, is like being able to separate, like what you said earlier, some of the groups that might go in and just smoke the fucking place out versus people that are actually coming with education, informative, networking abilities to actually help destigmatize what comes along with cannabis.
That word.
Yeah.
So, and, I wanted to kind of respond a little bit too, just about the consumption piece. And like in 2022, 2023, we did a block party.
Okay.
In Bed-Stuy,
Yeah.
Bed-Stuy Restoration.
I heard about it.
Yeah, which is like a community artifact, right? It's the first development corporation created in the country. Everybody know what's going on in Bed-Stuy right now in most cities with the gentrification, displacement, and those kinds of things.
That's everywhere. I'm from the Bronx, man, where it's like
the piano
it feel
district.
like it started. It feel like it started.
Hey, look, bro. No bullshit. It happened out here, bro.
Yeah.
Like in the village, the hill.
There was a lot. I know we're in the Hamptons, and what you think of, what you see television, that the Hamptons is just full of rich upper class people.
Not true.
There's communities here where it is middle class, regular farmer class.
We were pushed out of our village home. My father worked maintenance at the high school for 30 years. We were pushed out our family home, forced to move more up west.
Yeah,
it happened everywhere.
It's everywhere. So that destigmatization is.
We chose like that location for very specific reasons. Remember, this is like right as the legal market is coming online.
Mhm.
And of course, like Bedside is one of those CDIs, communities directly impacted, etc. Um, and of course, that means that there's also a lot of lack of a knowledge base, right? And so for them, it's all it is like I can see my mom and my aunties and like those people going like, reefer bad, people
Yeah,
doing that
yeah.
stuff, lazy,
That's
lazy,
right,
lazy.
bro.
There was just no model for what was coming, and so it was really important for us to like do like destigmatization work.
You have to
like
come with
in that
education.
location. I mean, it was crazy. We had like the grandmas who were like walking across the plaza because they were going to the key food, right? Going like, wait a minute, what is this? What is
Shouts out
going
to
on
Key Food.
outside? And then sitting down and going like, well, wait, you brought this to our community? Oh, I thought, and then being able to do like that kind of work like as a business,
Yeah.
really, I think like puts us in a really good position when it comes to some of the maybe more challenging things that
build.
people have, right? The public consumption, the odor, like those kinds of things. So yeah, you come to our event, like it's very consumption forward.
Yeah,
And we don't want to hide the ball about that.
The amount of money put into the war on drugs,
Right.
The spread of misinformation
Exactly.
is you have to combat it with legitimate education.
And we want to model
the
like,
paranoia that comes with smoking weed or edibles
Exactly.
goes hand in hand with the war on drugs. It goes hand in hand.
Absolutely.
I smoke so freely, my wife doesn't get it. If we're in a public setting, she cannot smoke without paranoia.
Yeah.
I'll smoke anywhere, anytime. It's
Yeah.
just that
Same.
don't
That's
give
what
a
it's
fuck
just taught.
mentality.
It's just what was handed down, and it's just like, yo, hide that, hide this,
Yep.
and that's what this place is definitely not about.
Right.
We're all 100% like, yo, pull up. We have a smoke tent where we allow people to hotbox. Like
Yeah.
movie nights that we have. Well, I walk around with a smoke gun and tell people to get inside, and we're lit. in
Yeah.
there, you know what I'm saying? Like,
and it's cool. Like, like some people like that's their like experience and that's what they like, and then some people like
Completely,
a different
yeah,
like,
completely.
and so I think for us we're like, let's make sure that everything that we do, whether it's like visual representations of our company, like the designs, how we talk about what we do, how we talk about the space, and of course like how we curate it and conduct it, which is like, you may see folks like hotboxing over in this corner, you may see somebody like over here that's like, I don't smoke at all.
I don't smoke at all. I definitely.
Or you got the people that chill over here. You got your edible takers. You have.
Tell me why they still got a lighter though.
But like you were saying, there might be somebody there to learn about packaging.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, facts.
yeah.
They're trying to
Who
learn.
wants to consume
It's
it.
bridging.
Or creating
networking.
content.
Yeah, networking is so big with you guys.
Yo, I
love
found
that.
it interesting. I was going through your reels, of course, doing a deep dive. I see a lot of female presence. Yeah, all right, I see it,
That
right?
girl power
Between
is
like
real.
the growers and there's a strong female presence.
Well,
there.
this is how I kind of describe it, because like 2015, right? We had a lot of people that, they were less risk adverse.
Yeah.
So they would just bulldoze through. But after they bulldozed through, there was like such a mess like in the wake of that. So like, and and what you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. So what women I think that naturally do really well is we clean up. We try to provide some structure.
Absolutely.
So and I'm going to say this all the time, but it's a female plant, right?
Yo, I say it
So,
every time.
right. So I mean, I think it's
I
just
say it every time. It's so like when you think about it, it's so much so because it's so much of a socializing plant. You have to talk to this plant. You have to nurture this plant.
Yeah.
You have to
She's
be
a
this
lady.
plant. Exactly. So
My
it's
first
just
baby
like
was Sheila. She was beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful perp.
how does the cannabis factor now and the way that women now have so much of a foot in now. They do. I love it, and I carry buy weed from woman bags.
Yeah, Jasmine's
Yeah,
great.
all that stuff. I carry a lot of Her Highness. I carry products. Chime and Chill. I'm very very
Their
much pro
style
because
is better.
for real, it's
all just
elegance.
better.
It's
Yeah,
elegance. It's elegance, and I love it, and I appreciate it. And
Here,
we need
take this
more.
in this dime bag and be on your way, Brody.
Well, I think
This
also-
die cut. This die cut lip
Yeah.
bag.
I think also, when we're having women come in on the branding side and
Yeah.
also kind of like the language, it's also making it more comfortable for mainstream folks
Yeah.
that are really quiet about cannabis,
Yeah.
right? Like we live in New York.
Mhm.
Most of the people I know in whatever industry or whatever leadership role, they're consumers.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, they're not going to always vibe with like the die cut, like,
Yeah. They want something a little bit. They want a
something a little
5-pack,
bit more
nice, sleek.
discreet,
Yeah.
So I think that is also bringing kind of a different way of destigmatizing
Yes.
through lifestyle
Absolutely.
and through just like
100%.
brand.
Thank you.
Right?
Yes.
So-
Brand recognition is everything behind it.
And it's New
the
York, where
message.
like this is a very
Fast-paced,
important
edgy.
part of
Yes.
culture in New
Yeah.
York.
Oh,
Yes,
so
yes.
much. Like
The other side of that
steps off.
coin, though, is the money, right?
Yeah.
And so we do have to make sure we keep the energy up around disparities in investment because, we are seeing, women, people of color, queer people
Mhm.
in this market represented in ways and to a degree that, they're not elsewhere as a product of some of the intention. But I do worry, as we think about like moving now into, infancy into some kind of toddler,
Yeah.
right? Like as things that are natural to markets, right? When is there going to be a period of contraction? Like when are those kinds of dynamics
Gonna start.
the folks who were intent on keeping
Yeah.
small business, women, minorities, etc. out from the beginning, they haven't been asleep. They've been at work,
They've been at work,
figuring
yeah.
out like
Trying how they gonna do
be
it.
ahead of
The next.
the trends and shifts and things that we know are
You're
going
right.
to come. So I think I want to make sure we celebrate our market as it grows, while also keeping our eye on the things that we want to make sure we are prepared for, so that we don't have this period right here and then like we're on the back foot.
Yeah, no, 100%. And speaking of the market and how it's like growing or where it's going, Lulu, what do you think that the market is going to look like in the future, especially with psilocybin being present now in these markets and dispensaries and places like starting to be asked, do you have them? And I know a lot of it comes from, I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, the West Coast has already been on that wave for a while now, right? And Washington too, are they
I
legal
think
with it?
Oregon, my
Oregon,
home state.
yeah.
It's always been like that. So they're like,
Let me find out they shit. They got everything over there. Yo, we about to
Just like
how's the
PCP.
cooking over there now.
I mean,
I'm a
I don't-
foodie.
well,
She
here's the
gonna cook
thing.
in PCP.
No.
No, on PCP. But it's, I don't know. PCP, my friend.
That jars are from
That's like, that's old.
Mom, I'm fucking around, Mom.
I
I'm
haven't heard
fucking
that term
around.
since like the 2000s.
Oh,
PCP.
thanks, right? Yo, when do you see?
I didn't know you like to get wet.
No way, no angel dust for me, my guy. But the food, we'll go back to the food
Yeah,
later.
yeah,
But
yeah.
what do you see? I'm a foodie. So what do you see the market with psilocybin going to now? Like,
So
where is it at?
I feel like it's gonna become federally legal faster than
You
cannabis.
expect it?
I
Then cannabis.
There's no
That's
drug war
federally.
associated
cannabis.
with psilocybin or psychedelics. People have not been put into jail consistently
You're
because
right.
of cannabis.
You're absolutely.
It is a
that's
predominantly
crazy.
it's a predominantly white.
How do you think this is going to turn
industry.
out? You're right, though. You're
know what
not
I mean?
lying.
So
You're not lying. That's a
Yeah,
little
they definitely
sickening.
got the
If that
complexion for the
happens, I might-
protection.
I
Well,
might get a
that's
little
why-
ignorant.
Well, that's why we're launching our psychedelics programming next year.
Okay.
Because what's really irritating to me, just like with cannabis,
Yes.
it's like these were all tools in all of our backgrounds, right? For milestone markers, for healing, for like mental health,
Yeah,
spirituality,
for
yeah.
medicine, for everything, for especially for like ceremony,
Yes.
right? And they were all taken away from all of us and completely
Talk about it.
Mm.
Being
So
being native, being indigenous, spirituality, and the battle, the fight that you deal with
and
is
completely
prevalent every day.
extincting that from
And
you, right? And now all of a sudden the wave is, oh,
You gotta go to
psychedelics are
Peru.
amazing. Or just like the idea of like, I'm here, I've discovered it and now it's brand new, therefore it belongs to me.
right,
That
right,
really is
right,
irritating.
right. It's colon.
Yes.
Yeah, you see, I'm like, right,
Appropriation.
So that's why,
Listen.
and then it's really shitty because it's like I have friends who are people of color who are afraid of it. Even this was part of their history. This is part of their lineage and their culture.
Yeah.
So we're launching psychedelics because it's really
Education, yeah, it's
important to show other different types of modalities.
Yeah.
And people like Jason hasn't seen this maybe, but I'm like, I want to do a panel. It's like the priest,
like, wait,
the
what?
shaman, and the therapist walk into a bar. Like, can we talk about
Yeah.
the different types of leaders, healing leaders that are using, and not just one specific path?
Yeah.
So, Oregon is, I think, in a sticky place because it's like, how can you charge? Oregonians have been doing plant medicine on their own for a very long time. So, how are you going to go in and sell a $3,000, dollar workshop
Right.
when your friend gets it to you for $80? You know what I mean? So there's definitely a disconnect, and Oregon isn't that great on welcoming folks. They're kind of like, this is our little space.
Shelter. You're right.
Californians,
Yeah.
get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Most people don't know it was actually started as a white.
It was
only
started as
state.
a white only
So
state. You know I was gonna jump in if you did.
yeah. I know my
I had to
history.
make sure they got all
Praise God, locked in. He ready to shoot over the head.
But it's
I just tell you now.
Wait, hold on.
The eyes too. Yeah. Say it.
I knew it was coming. So, but it's really interesting because like there's some progressive areas like Portland and Eugene. There's hillbilly areas.
Right.
There's cult-centric areas.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of people, but they kind of
I'm
all
kind of scared of Oregon.
but they all kind of
Both of them so interesting.
Either, though.
coexist. They all
California
coexist.
takes up the whole coast. It doesn't look that big. for
It's.
that.
I mean, I think Oregon, Washington is probably 2/3 of the size of
Man,
geographically.
Shit.
But they're quiet. It's like
Right,
quiet
right,
people. Like
right.
we found our vibe. Leave us alone.
Leave it
Don't-
at that.
We're cool.
We vibing.
But it's interesting that all these folks of different backgrounds that are very like contradictory kind of
Right,
coexist. And I think it's because they're running
right.
game.
Okay.
I really think they're
That's
running
just
game because the
what's up.
hippies would grow it and the rednecks would distribute it.
Yeah.
And then the cult people would use it.
It's like
you know,
it's a committee.
Use it.
Yeah.
It's a committee.
So, like I was saying, growing up in a state where different types of people can coexist under one specific
different.
thing, it's different. But I think the legalization is interesting because a lot of people microdose.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
under
I
this,
get access
right?
all the
And
time.
under the current regulatory framework there, it's like, imagine if you had to go every day to a clinic to take your microdose.
Right.
Imagine if you were taking any pharmaceutical, like, whatever, and you couldn't take it at home. You'd and then also, it can't just be therapy based because therapy comes in different types of
different
religious
ways,
leaders,
yeah.
tribal elders.
Yes.
So it needs to be,
That logic makes no sense to
Right.
me because it would be like I would only have drinks at the bar, right?
there- yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
By
So
the time that all of this is actually legalized,
Right.
alcohol and cigarettes are still going to be the number one cause of killing with us, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, no matter how we slice this.
Yeah. I would be, it would be nice as like this conversation does legitimately move more towards like a public health conversation. I mean, we still got mad fucked up drug laws and drug
Yeah.
policy, but like
Yeah.
at least more people are talking about or trying to understand it or respond to drugs from a public health perspective.
Yep.
But like in the public health world, it's like prohibition is the illusion of control.
Mm-hmm.
Because as soon as you prohibit something, all you're doing is moving it into
You're raising the value of
The
it,
value,
actually.
right. Yeah, raise the value
Raise
of it
the
and
value
you're
of it.
moving it into a space where it's totally not seen,
Right.
etc. So obviously, like So like we're anti-prohibitionists all around. It's like hopefully, that's a really interesting point you made too about psychedelics versus
Cannabis. There's
It's like
no
whatever, because it could be. I'm seeing it, and I'm a novice, so it's like good to be a part of the
Ping
team
pong.
now. Like,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, your ping pong.
y'all teach me. I'm your first student.
Yeah,
Kind of situation, but yeah, to kind of see the beginning of the conversation be from the health space,
standpoint.
right? Not that we want to over therapize it,
Right.
but like the idea that it's starting from a like health and wellness as opposed to like policing, criminalization, and public safety.
Just and all the so I've been working with Reggie from Oakland Hi-Fi, I think since 2018, 2019. So my background is user experience.
Yes.
So I always ask questions. So I've been conducting like interview sessions with people, like a lot of them, interviewing and understanding from the from also the therapist, facilitators point of view. So I have a lot of very interesting like anecdotal, insights from this. So I just didn't realize, honestly, how many people are using pharmaceuticals. Like I did not realize the breadth of how many. So it's going to be definitely. I guess the breakdown between cannabis and psychedelics for me, I think for me personally, cannabis is great for physical ailments.
Yes.
For me, for sleep, for pain, for appetite, for all of these things. And as I'm learning, psychedelics are fantastic for spirituality, mental health. And the U.S. and probably other nations are going through a huge crisis of mental
for
health.
sure. Yeah, for
And
sure.
So I think that is going to speed along
Depression.
things.
Yeah.
Yes, anxiety, depression,
Isolation.
Isolation.
Exactly,
That
all
goes
of
back to what we were
that.
talking about
Yeah.
being inside those houses and
Yeah.
everything like that.
Yeah.
And that's why, on that panel at CMB, we were talking about, it was the topic of discussion, where it was basically where everyone doesn't really have a place for an outlet to do things and have a social environment.
Yeah.
And that's what's so beautiful about what we have here and the events and things that you do, because it's based on building and getting people out of that in some kind of way, like, and just giving them the you just need a space for education and growth.
It was so we had our spring show up in Hudson,
Right?
Hudson, yeah, beautiful.
How was that? I was
beautiful.
supposed to go. I didn't make it. There's just so much stuff going on here.
It's the Lower Hudson Valley. It's upstate New York,
Yeah.
so it has a little bit of a different feel than our New York City show.
It was a different crowd, a little
different
bit.
setting, beautiful space, indoor, outdoor, beautiful grounds. But the show like ends at 6, and I was walking around the show like with a handheld mic at like 6:30, and I was like, please go home. Like, we love y'all, but like, please go home.
It's over.
But what I was getting and what I was sensing and what we reflected on afterwards was that people weren't like, they were done doing business.
Yes.
I was like, they
This is
needed to,
networking.
they were like, I don't want to go home. Like I want to be with these
The
people.
network. I want
And
social.
our events are starting to feel a little bit like a homecoming.
It is.
Too.
So-
Yeah.
It
Because
is.
it's like almost like, oh, like I'm going back to Revelry. Yeah, we're gonna like do our business. The ROI is great.
Yeah.
We're gonna spend this money because the ROI is great. We're gonna make new contacts. We're gonna
Yeah.
sign new POs, et cetera, et cetera. Like that. That's almost like a expected.
Yes, that's
at this
a- yeah,
point.
yeah,
Like,
that's
yeah,
a-
we're gonna do that, we're
yeah.
gonna do that. But like also like
It's
also
the next
y'all
part.
gonna be at Revelry. Okay,
Yeah,
we're gonna get this,
yeah.
like,
Next part.
and like they want to be in the, and it's really. I'm just really grateful, and it takes my breath away sometimes to that. I tell people like, y'all make the space as much as we do.
For sure,
I think
man.
we've tried to model good shit. We
Man.
tried to whatever, but the people who
It's
come,
the people who
they
come. The people
really
who are coming.
It's
yeah,
the
they
people
really-
who do it for us.
We
The
do
people.
it.
Yeah.
We're really big on energy. Like
Yeah.
our whole team vibes on
Oh,
energy,
yeah.
and people don't think. I don't think people know, but before every event,
Yeah.
our team comes together and we do this visualization ceremony. I'll call it
Yeah,
now.
as you should.
Where, it's never
Grounded.
about us, but we basically, what
Grounded.
energy are we trying to call in?
Right,
I see.
Exactly.
Right.
Like,
I'm trying to check it out.
This year,
Next
let's get
one's
it
in
all
September.
together, man. Let's
Next
vibe
one's
out.
September.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think people start to feel that. And I think another thing is, I think we do have the respect that when people come, they bring good vibes.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we have a
It's
strict
always a good vibe.
fuck no list.
Yeah.
And we have a strict
Look,
fuck yes list. So we're
Coming in fuck up
inclusive.
the vibes you
The
get
crowd,
out.
Yeah.
the crowd when I went, and I want to talk a little before we head out, is like the people who at your last event that I went to at Pier 36 was excellent. The brands, shouts out to all the brands that are a part of your event always, but that was the first part. I went to both days. So the first part, the Buyers Club, being with everybody, going to know everybody, like that experience is what I do for LBH, right? That's for LBH. But also I love the connections that I'm also getting from it, because the energy and everyone who I'm finding is people who I want in my area, my circumference, my like I before working with Zoe, I've only been speaking to Zoe over the phone.
Right.
Or visually on the on e-meets and stuff like that, on Google and stuff. I seen her as soon as I walk in through the door, and I'm like, oh, that's Zoe. We straight walk up to each other, and it's a straight, oh my God,
hugs.
hello, like energy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? So it's good energy. And then everyone else who she brings along, who she matches my energy so well that I know that I don't have to worry about what comes next.
Yeah.
And that's the energy that your environments bring, right? And then the next day, the fun day for everyone else, the consumers, really, the people who you do it for, right? They have those moments where I'm with my cousin Sean, who goes with me, and we're just smoking. We're bringing a whole bunch of stuff, obviously from LBH, and then some other stuff that you guys were handing out, like On the Moon, Off to the Moon, all kinds of brands and stuff. And basically, other people are so friendly enough that we're just creating a circle, right? And just smoking with each other, talking with each other, other dispensary owners. We're all mingling and having conversations on how we could better the network and make sure, because that's another big thing. Your brand, the NY brands that's out here, they want to work with us. They want to be part of LBH. They want to help the Shinnecock mission. They want to be part of us. They want to have some kind of step into it, you know, and that's important. And that's what the advocacy means for us when we see it, and when we have our dealings with the people that we do. And it's so important, like having you guys be here and touching the ground, because it's important that anyone who I work with or have any kind of relationship with, I want you to know what you're coming to and you're working with, and where you're at, and the people who you're working with, you know, and the mission and the story behind LBH itself. You know, it's important. And those kinds of morals, right, is the same kind of morals you guys have at your environments and your parties. You know, you guys had Joey Badass there last year. That was cool. That was fun.
Seen Carmelo Anthony. walking around over there.
Favorite. That's my favorite basketball player of all time. I modelized my whole basketball career off of that guy. I swear to you. And shouts out, he's on the new 2K cover. You know, I'm gonna get it. But the feel of the environments and the people, the celebrities that you do have come there, who are still grounded with the people, right? How how do you find that? You know, like as a group, like how do you I know, like how do you I know it must be kind of hard not only finding people who's in the cannabis culture, because you don't really want somebody who's like, it's all well and good to get somebody who is a no name trending, but isn't a let's say a person who indulges in cannabis at all, right? You know, you could do that. That's easy to do. I could do that here. It's easy, but that's not what the event is.
We're not cloud chasers.
That's
we're culture creators.
Exactly. So like, how do you guys go about that?
Well, I think
Like that.
we make our wish list of people that we love personally, right? Like, oh my dream would be to book Dolly Parton. Like, to me, she's
Stevie
the
Nicks for me.
But
They call some Mel Plus.
personification.
He's not even playing. He's not playing.
I'm so serious.
He's not playing.
I grew up with Stevie Nicks. So then we make our wish list, and then we try, like,
pass out.
one thing that's very different is like even with our programming, we never do a call out for speakers. We never do like a pay to play.
Right.
It's more like what does the community need? We'll make the programming. Who in our network that we think is cool would be cool for it, or maybe someone they know. So to your point of like when you met Zoe, you knew everyone that fucked with Zoe was
exactly.
cool. So then what usually happens is we'll try and try and try, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. When we've said no to things that didn't vibe, something magical happens.
Absolutely.
It's like, oh, you made
That
the
door
right
closed
choice
for a reason.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's just people hear about what we want to do and they vibe.
I love it.
And then they just drop in.
amazing.
So
I
I
love
think
it.
like Carmelo just came in through our friend Jesse.
Yep.
Carmelo's
Jesse
coming.
Horton, that's my guy. He was just here. He stopped by LBH, you know, because me and him are thinking about doing stuff. And that's just the energy that you see what I'm saying? Like those are the circle is important. And it's like it's about the cannabis culture itself, right? It's being grouped. The plant needs good energy to survive, to thrive, to be the best that it can be. And it's the same thing with our community. It's the same thing with our life. It's the same thing with everything else. You need good energy and good support in order for something to happen, you know, for uprooting, for growth to happen. And I just love the style that you guys bring to your events and the people who are part of it. It's amazing. What do you guys have going on next? What's the next? You know, what can the Beach Buds be looking for? What's up? Well, talk to us.
I need a live podcast at your show.
Yeah,
I need a live
we with it,
podcast
bro.
there,
We-
bro.
This is the one to talk to.
No,
about
we
that.
do. We are gonna. To close out 2025, we have our fall show September
12th
and
and
13th
Whoa,
at
okay.
Pier 36.
Be there.
Lower Manhattan.
In the building.
Day one, as always, is a Buyers Club. That's our industry day. And then day two, we open it up to the community, consumers, the Canon Curious, the folks who want to come and see and hear some great music. We have a bunch of great activations, some special guests. But really, it's about, you know, just coming, connecting, and, you know, meeting your people, finding your people. So yes, we're gonna add some new elements to the show this year. One is we're gonna do some live podcast tapes. So yes.
That's good energy.
So we will make sure we
There's synergy.
follow up when the tape stops rolling. Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to we're gonna have that. We're gonna do some workshops. We're gonna have a cultivation workshop for cannabis and for
Mushrooms.
functional mushrooms.
Yes.
Yes,
Functional
mushrooms with some special gifts.
sir.
Gift packets.
Donations.
Yeah. Again, you know, we think, you know, for us, like who we put on stage. To talk is, you know, as important as who we put
Equally
on
as
stage
important,
as the musical performers, and so we're
So
thankful that you know, we're gonna have Scotty Beam come through. Black Thought is gonna come through and be interviewed by Chef Nikki.
Shouts out to Chef
shout out to
Nikki.
Chef Nikki. We love you.
Facts.
You know, on the performance side, we got those
foodie.
Flacco's, Phony People.
Hey.
I won't go through the list. We've actually already released our lineup. So, you know, on the Revel, on all of our socials and platforms. But we'd love to see as many folks as possible September 12th and 13th. And I'll let Lulu talk about 2026.
And then we're gonna start psychedelics in January.
Okay.
So
New year, new you.
You know it. You know it. So that's gonna be. I'm really excited for that. So that's gonna be more of a.
I'm in the
conference
building
series.
for the psychedelic. I'm in there.
So we'll have more of a kind of our old platform, what we kind of started ourselves off
Intro,
with, which is like
yeah.
you know signature talks.
Okay.
Yeah.
And really important, just like the whole vibe with that one is like, whoever is coming as a speaker or an attendee, just be open minded.
That's
right?
important.
It's like we're at this phase of a
That's the whole point. That's the whole point. You're there.
So like we want people to come that are like, hey, I am interested or I have an idea, but also be open to the different other modalities. Because I always say there's no rules in psychedelics. There's no, you know, we might have guidelines or things that resonate with us, but there's so much out there that no
Absolutely.
one really can say I'm an expert at. So I
Yeah.
always kind of roll my eyes. We're like, I'm an expert at this. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Yeah, come on.
You know, so that's kind of the vibe is just, you know, we want to present as many good people out
Yeah,
there that are
yeah.
sharing the same ethos as we did, like very much with,
Yeah.
with Revelry.
It's gonna be
So
fun. It's gonna be fun.
I love
Yeah,
it. I'm
yeah,
excited.
yeah.
You know I'm gonna be there. I would love to be like just a fly on the wall in the spots. It's a good time. I like to show like my walk or my transition to the events and stuff like that. Because as a New Yorker, it's a good feeling to just like I'm headed to a cannabis event. You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about? Whether it be education, whether it's, you know, just a consumption vibe or just like a group of friends just eating food or something like that.
Yo, I saw a TikTok of someone do a getting ready to get ready with me to go to Revelry.
Oh,
really?
That's fact.
Yeah. I was like, we made
Yeah,
it.
that's a fact. It's
Fit,
it
tie-dye
is.
tee, tie-dye
Yeah,
shirt,
because
ready to go.
it is an experience, and that's what I like the most. You know, and that's what because I resonate with that because what I
Thank
do
you.
here is about the experience. It's about the experience when you come and you enjoy the space, and like all my beach buds who've been in here and who are still to come here. You know, it's all about the experience that you have with me, my team, my boy Neko. You know, we live. It's always a good time, and we always just like to have, you know, just enough fun to where, you know, you could still, you know, enjoy your day.
It
But
has to be
I
fun.
personally envision a world where I don't have to renew my passport and go to Colombia. I could do ayahuasca at home. So it's like we can
All
I
right.
actually have somebody for you.
All right.
As far as I know, he's
Legitimate
the only
shaman.
Black shaman
We like
that's
that.
been studying in Peru for about 10 years with
You know
this
what I'm saying? Like, we don't gotta go to
sheep.
Peru.
Oh, okay.
We don't gotta
I'm not
ship out
gonna
to Colombia.
try that. Yeah.
Now we're talking
Yeah,
business.
so we can definitely talk about that. He's actually in New York right now, so I can make some intros. For
Nice.
sure.
Amazing.
I love it.
Amazing.
All right, that's what's up, man. And
Lulu
look,
constantly got the hook.
the
up.
connects.
The connect.
It's about the
So
support.
that-
She from Oregon, so it is what it is.
Mouths
She
don't
from-
get
Yes, right?
Yo, if you don't know an Oregon person, you need to know him now. That's all I gotta say, Beach Buds. If you don't know him, you gotta know him now because they got it. They got it. Whatever it is, they
Only
got
two
it.
people I know
They got
from
it.
Oregon, Lulu and Chael Sonnen.
Shouts out. But you know, that's gonna conclude this episode of Keeping Up with the Buzz, and it was just a nice and good, wholesome and good vibe experience.
you.
Just
Thanks
having
for
you guys
having
here.
us.
Yeah.
Absolutely, thank you for making the time out to travel
Look,
and you know
it's a blessing
enjoy
coming
the
up.
rest of
Yeah.
the weekend
Thank
and
you.
turn up and have a good time. You know, and that's Keeping Up with the Buzz, gang. I'll see y'all on the next episode. Shouts out.